10B, adopt a resolution authorizing the application to the City and County Association of Governments, CCAG, to prepare a comprehensive parking management plan for downtown San Bruno.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, the purpose of this item is to recommend that the city apply for a grant through CCAG's Priority Development Area Parking Policy Technical Assistance Program to develop a comprehensive parking management plan for San Bruno's downtown area. Community Development had included a project in this year's budget to fund the preparation of a downtown parking management plan, which was identified as a priority to address current and future parking needs in the downtown. In the meantime, staff has identified a grant program through CCAG that matches the city's objectives for a parking management plan. As a result, that project has been removed from this coming year's budget. The grant program, the CCAG grant program, provides technical support to develop parking management strategies that support the local vision for growth and development in priority development areas. And as you probably know, priority development areas are places identified by communities in the Bay Area as areas for investment, new homes, and job growth. And they are the foundation for sustainable regional growth in the Bay Area and part of the Planned Bay Area. The Transit Corridors Plan is located in the city's Transit Corridors Priority Development Area. CCAG has approximately $242,000 available in the Parking Policy Program, which is what I'm going to call it from now on. The proposed grant application requests $110,000 in assistance. A grant for a similar parking study was awarded to South San Francisco last year, and staff's research indicates the cost of the proposed scope of work would not exceed $110,000. The city is in a great position to be successful because at this time we would be the only active applicant, although CCAG has indicated that at least one other agency is interested in applying for funding. The Transit Corridors Plan established a comprehensive vision for the Transit Corridors area. The vision is for an economically vital downtown, which is an exciting destination for workers, residents, and visitors. The vision includes intensifying commercial and residential uses to attract and sustain activities throughout the day and night, as well as plazas and streetscape improvements to create a welcoming pedestrian-oriented environment. The plan outlines improvements to create the plan outlines the redevelopment potential for land uses in the Transit Corridors area and provides standards and guidelines that promote new mixed-use development and ensures high-quality architecture. To support these changes, parking improvements are essential to utilize the city's parking supply to its fullest extent. A key Transit Corridors Plan implementation strategy is to thoughtfully study and plan for future parking needs and to mitigate parking impacts from potential future development in the downtown. The Transit Corridors Plan recommends developing a parking management plan that includes an approach and timing for implementation of new parking strategies, and as well as potential additional parking capacity, including funding construction of a centralized parking facility. Now, the study area for the proposed parking management plan would be the downtown, basically covering San Mateo Avenue from El Camino up to probably Walnut, so crossing over San Bruno Avenue. It would include Mastic Avenue, Huntington Avenue, and several blocks into adjacent residential neighborhoods. It would look at public and private parking lots as well as on-street parking in those areas. The first task would be to gather data on current parking conditions, including parking inventory, occupancy, and turnover to establish a baseline. This would be followed by an evaluation of future parking needs based on the Transit Corridors Plan growth projections. The plan will outline parking management programs and strategies to accommodate future parking needs. And some of those strategies will include that the plan will evaluate a shared parking program, time restrictions, enforcement and wayfinding signage, metered parking and parking pricing, an in-lieu parking fee program, a residential permit parking program, and also a TDM program. TDM programs are designed to reduce vehicle travel and promote the use of transit. Examples include transit pass subsidies, car share programs, pedestrian and bicycle amenities and subsidies, and unbundled parking. The plan would also evaluate the amount of development that would trigger the need for new parking supply, including a potential downtown parking structure. It would evaluate the feasibility, preliminary design, and potential sites for such a structure. It would also recommend financing strategies for parking management programs, including potential on and off-street pricing. It would also analyze the need and effectiveness of parking in lieu fees as a financing tool. The parking in lieu fees would be levied potentially on new development in the transit corridors area. Finally, the plan would define a monitoring and implementation plan to establish the approach, timing, and priorities for the recommended strategies. The plan would include public outreach, and this outreach would include stakeholder meetings with the Chamber of Commerce, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the Traffic and Parking Safety Committee. These would be held early in the process to receive that input from those bodies. There would also be at least 2 community outreach meetings, as well as meeting with the City Council to present the findings and receive your recommendations on the plan and the findings to that at that time. Finally, the city is continuously seeking grant funding opportunities to help reduce project costs and impacts on the operating and CIP budgets. If this city application is successful and CCAG awards a grant for $110,000, staff has determined this would be sufficient to complete a downtown parking management plan. There are no matching funds required for this grant, and a resolution of City Council support for the parking policy program application is attached to your staff report. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Couldn't come any sooner.
What's
That's
that?
great. Couldn't come any sooner. That's great.
Good.
Any questions for Mark?
I have one.
Marty?
So the extent where the residential permit parking program, can we investigate extending that in some problematic areas? For instance, outside or further east on the avenues, up along Linden, Poplar, Elm, and over in Sunset and on the north side of town, just to get a feel on how tough is it to park in those neighborhoods right now, because when I was canvassing, I heard that complaint numerous times.
Yeah, the intent here for this scope was to look at, the reason it's going up to Walnut was to consider the train station area.
Sure.
And I know that there are people who choose not to pay in the parking lot and they park out in the neighborhood. So it would definitely look at development and changes that are occurring within the transit corridors area and how they impact the surrounding neighborhoods. So to that extent, I think it would consider a residential or a neighborhood parking program. I'm not sure if it could go out, how far it could go out, but we'll definitely take a look at what the extent of it could be with this budget.
With this budget, right?
Yeah.
And how we could explore possibly having to amend that budget, since we're getting it 100% paid, but it's kind of like the economy of scale.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have these professionals that know about parking, that they could come by, and they're coming by one day during the week,
Yeah.
and one day on the weekend. So having them canvass another neighborhood seems like it wouldn't be that much of an additional cost for that work to be completed. And getting the input from the residents at these public meetings, I think, would benefit everybody that in those neighborhoods.
Yeah. Well, as we after we submit the application and assuming that we're awarded the grant, and then we sit down with the contractor that we would be working with, we'll refine and develop a scope of services. And I think at that point, David, we'll probably, update you on where we are with it and get your feedback at that point, I think.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's great that you guys are looking at that, and it's something that needs to be done, parking in downtown. I couldn't help but saying that it's enough. Well, it's the first sentence in that second paragraph, there's sufficient parking available in the downtown area. That's, I might have a little bit of a disagreement on.
Well, that's, I don't want to get too far into that, but previous parking studies have shown, generally, 85% occupancy is considered, becoming a burden, and there has been no, of all parking in the area, there's been no survey that showed 85% besides, above 85% besides on San Mateo Avenue itself.
And that last parking survey was conducted when?
There was one done for the transit corridors plan, and it was probably about 2009.
Yeah. I think things
So,
have changed
yeah.
in almost 7 years. There's a lot more cars on the street. But anyhow, it's great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or action on this item?
Introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Rico Medina.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Marty Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.